tillana nadrudim, tadaradani nadrudardum, nadrudardum, tom danana tillana nadrudim, tadaradani nadrudardum, nadrudardum, dim danana tajanu dimita janu tadimita tarikadakadakadacham, taritajam taridadadingina tom tillana nadrudim, tadaradani nadrudardum, nadrudardum, tom danana tillana nadrudim. In the course of my answer to this question, I shall talk more about the song. Neuroscience is a vast and expanding subject. We will only touch upon one or two aspects of this in the context of this question. Neuroscience fundamentally is the study of the human nervous system, and within it, it encompasses the idea of human intelligence. When we look at education, the influence of child psychology is very significant in the design of learning. Neuroscience is a far more scientific and precise science, even though even that has its limitations. And the way that, for example, technology studies neuroscience as a way to model everything from programming languages, machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, etc., actually is far deeper, and they are far more inspired by the idea of human intelligence and unraveling how it functions so that this can be replicated in machines. When we look at human intelligence, once again, there are so many different aspects that one can look at it from. In the Indian knowledge system, we don't look at the brain as the center of intelligence. We actually look at the entire body as a functioning intelligence. You also realize that what you gather after you're born is not the only source of knowledge or intelligence, but there is already inbuilt knowledge and intelligence within yourself. And so one would have to actually juxtapose both the modern idea of neuroscience and the Indian idea of intelligence, and then see whether there are interesting ideas that we can come up with for the purposes of learning and education. The song that I sang is a Tillana. It has some very interesting rhythmic constructs. It also has a very interesting melodic construct. And the raga in which this particular song is set to is this raga that I had actually talked about earlier, Kuntalavarali. Now, Kuntalavarali is not a linear scale. It has a very specific chalan, or it has a very specific way in which the morchanas work. Samapani dasa, sanidapamasa is the way that the aroha avroha works. And when you think about it, it looks very complex. But the moment that you understand this, and then when you can actually compose something around this that is more suited for a child, as we have done with "My name is Madhavi, I am from Alapi, I speak Malayalam, but I am just like you." So this raga has a very unique syntax. Now, the idea of chalan is very similar to the idea of syntax, and that same idea of syntax is what we encounter with various languages. So when I say, "My name is Vishwanath," "Mera naam Vishwanath hai," "Je m'appelle Vishwanath," each of these sentences actually do not have the same construct if you do a literal translation of it. The syntax is what actually differentiates the three sentences, and yet we do so with such effortless ease. And this is something that, if you now look at the idea of holistic learning, the fact that I can influence the learning of language from the teaching of music is something that we can relate to, and these are the kinds of ideas that probably early learning specifically must get inspiration from. In one of the earliest episodes, we had talked about the idea of kolam, for example. You know, when you give the simple idea of the basic column with 1 dot, 3 dots and 1 dot, how many permutations and combinations you can draw around it. When you get a child to get excited about drawing the column, what are all the various intelligences that are actually being triggered in that process? or what are all the various intelligence that are being nurtured in the process. Their manifestation may be in some other subject somewhere else. At a very simple level, we can look at this as fine motor skills, that is being nurtured. You are looking at structure, you are looking at architecture, you are looking at arithmetic, you are looking at geometry, you are looking at design, and all of these intelligences are actually being nurtured in this very simple activity. The entire reimagining of early childhood education must actually draw much more inspiration from both some of the ideas that we have from Indian knowledge systems as well as the emerging ideas from neuroscience. And you will realize that as long as you focus not so much on the goals as much as the process, as long as you focus once again not so much on what is the list of items that you must cover, as much as what is the kind of engagement that you're doing both with the body and the mind in every activity that is being designed for the child. How engaging is it? How enjoyable is it? How enriching is it? These are the things around which our pedagogy must be constructed. This is not a small endeavor, it's a very large endeavor. So little ideas, little seeds that happen across different educators, different experiments that are happening around, they need to converge, come together to completely reimagine this idea of how we can draw inspiration from human intelligence, neuroscience, Indian thought around it, and early childhood education.